There are thousands of conflicting opinions online. People that say that you should drink coffee because it has polyphenols. Others say that you shouldn't because caffeine is bad for you and dehydrates you. People prescribe things that end up not working at all, and we don't even know who we can really trust online. Even qualified medical professionals sometimes have opposing views on certain subjects, which can be really confusing. Sometimes it can be hard to make our own decisions for what habits we actually do want to implement in our lives. So hard that we just procrastinate and just keep consuming the same information over and over again. That's why today we'll be talking about why it's time for you to stop consuming and actually start creating. I'm your host, Gabrielle, and we'll be discussing the importance of not trying to commit to everything and instead focus on the few things that really matter to us. There's so much content out there on all sorts of subjects, and we already know that scrolling and watching useless content is not very productive. But what about self-development content? Watching videos on how to build confidence, set up healthy habits, embark on 90-day challenges feels very productive. And I think to a certain extent, it definitely can be. But after a while, if you do this repeatedly, you'll notice that many people repeat the same information. The problem lies not within the actual content. I think even though creators might repeat information that others have said, each channel or podcast creator is unique, and the message could hit different when they say it. The problem lies in our overconsumption of this content. Because at one point, consuming this self-development content goes from being educational to just entertainment, because you already know all these things that the people are telling you to do. And that's completely fine to consume for entertainment, motivation, or fun, as long as you're aware of it and you do it intentionally. But often, as I mentioned in the beginning, we already know what we need to do. We just can't really seem to get started, and so we just keep consuming the content because it feels very productive. One reason why endlessly consuming this content can be so addicting is that there are so many different options, so many different acronyms to remember, different ways of setting goals, think SMART goals, NICE goals, short-term goals, ways of planning your life, 30, 90-day challenges, yearly calendars. I found that more options actually lead it to being more difficult for us to make decisions. A clear example of this is when we were children and people asked us what we wanted to do when we grew up. Many children have a clear idea of what they want to do when they grow up. I'm talking about 5 to 6-year-old children, because there are only a couple options really: doctor, astronaut, police officer, ballet dancer, and firefighter. But when you start to grow up and you start to see all the options that are out there, there's such a wide variety of careers paths you can take, but that makes it harder for us to actually make a decision. When there are so many options, counterintuitively, we as humans tend to get overwhelmed, and making a choice is harder. There have been actual scientific studies that prove that when people have just 2 options to pick from, that leads to less stress because it's a simpler choice to make, and therefore more happiness, and vice versa. When there are more options, people are more stressed because they don't know which one to take, and that leads to more stress and less happiness. In relation to social media, when there are so many different options, different techniques that you can use, different habits you can implement, that can be very overwhelming for us, and we tend to just get stuck and not actually implement anything and just keep consuming the content because we don't know where to start. Another reason that endlessly consuming this content can be addicting is because you see these clickbait titles and thumbnails like the one thing that will save you, or you'll never have to watch another self-development video after this. We tend to look for one easy solution to all our problems, which is why the content that says it offers a simple solution that will fix everything is so catchy. Every time a new video like that pops up on our feed, even though we've seen similar videos, we can't help but wonder whether this will be the one that will fix everything. But realistically, have you ever watched a video or consumed a piece of content that gave you a personalized answer to a major struggle in your life? Probably not. Often the deepest breakthroughs and revelations we have come from within us. We have all the answers to our problems within us. Healing, acceptance, and growth takes work. If it's any reassurance, know that one simple solution to everything doesn't exist. And instead of spending your energy trying to find that, you can instead focus on little habits that you can implement and concrete steps that you can take towards your future. People will tell you the best way to do something, the one thing that will work, but what's important to understand is that people share what has worked for them, and that's completely natural. Just we can't expect ourselves to implement everything, to be able to do the wake up at 5 a.m., the workout, the meditation, the stretching, the journaling, the reading, and the everything shower, all in just a few hours of our morning. We have to pick what works for us because there are 8 billion people on the planet. That means there are 8 billion variations of methods to heal and grow and habits to implement. It's time for you to take control of your mind and start thinking for yourself. Actually start implementing what you already know and start creating value instead of just consuming. Let's cover these 3 points in a bit more detail. First, start thinking for yourself. Often we have an idea and we'll immediately go online to try to find examples of other people doing the same thing, guides, or motivation. But what if, instead of immediately going to your phone, you would take a second to just try to come up with something yourself? A couple months ago, I was dealing with a particular issue related to confidence and validation, and none of the videos I watched really were helping me with this. And so I decided to dedicate one evening to sit down with my journal, and I would just write everything that I felt and everything that I wanted. And then I would ask myself why, and then I would get to the roots of why I was feeling that way, and then I was able to solve the problem from there. So try to see if you can come up with a solution to the problem instead of relying on other people who don't even know you to feed you the solution. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who knows yourself best. People online can be very helpful, but they don't know you. So you also have to do some work to get to know yourself, get to know your needs, to be able to better tailor all these tips and habits to your lifestyle and your personality. 2, start to implement what you already know. Consuming self-development content feels really productive because you're watching other people get their goals done, other people go to the gym, but it doesn't help you at all if, once you finish the video, you go right back to your old habits. Unless you actually implement the advice that has been shared with you, no matter how good you feel after watching the video, you might have motivation for one day, but at the end of the day, nothing will change. You have all the answers within you, you just haven't asked the right questions yet. So create a schedule, create a routine, whatever works for you to actually start transforming your life and achieving your goals. 3, start creating value instead of just consuming. Take action. This can be through creative expression, starting a journal so you can actually get to know yourself better, sharing what you've learned with friends, anything that you can produce that will bring value to yourself or to other people. So you're not just sitting there and taking in all the information, but you're actually applying it and helping others as well. But some general rule of thumbs when I'm consuming content is that balance is key because in any case, sleep versus activity, work versus rest, spending time alone versus with others, doing only one thing is never healthy. Even if it's something that is considered super healthy, like working out or eating greens, if you only eat greens, you're not going to have a balanced diet. So with anything in life, balance is key. Consume mindfully. When you listen to a podcast or watch a video or read a book and your goal is to learn, commit to doing it mindfully, not scrolling at the same time, so that you're fully engaged in the process of learning something new and you'll understand the content, internalize it, and be able to better apply it to your life. And finally, start creating. Put the knowledge you've gained to work. Implement all those habits you're learning about. Share them with others. Put yourself out there. There's a quote that says 90% of people are consumers, 10% are creators. It's up to you. Do you want to be a consumer or a creator? Thank you very much for listening to Mind, Body, and Beyond, and I'll see you in the next one.